ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततः जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवती नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्णा, दंडवत प्रणाम. Yesterday we started new chapter, the story of Pingla, Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto 11, Chapter 8, the story of Pingla. We try to understand up to 10 shlokas. Now today we try to understand ahead, shloka number 11 to 27. सायन्तं शश्वतं वा न संगृहीत भीक्षितं पाणिपात्र उदरम अत्र मक्षिका इव न संग्रही सायन्तं श्वस्तनं वा न संगृहीत भिक्षुकः मक्षिका इव संगृहन् सह तेन विनश्यति. पद अपि युवतीं भिक्षुः न स्पृशेत दारवीन अपि स्पृशन् करी इव बद्धेत करिण्या असंग संगतः न अधिगच्छेत श्रियं प्राज्ञः कर्यचित् मृत्युम् आत्मनः बल अधिकैः सहन्येत गजै अन्यै गज यथा. न देयं न उपभोग्यं च लुब्धैः यत् दुःख संचितं भुङ्क्ते तदपि तच्च अन्यः मधुहा इव अर्थवित् मधु सुदुःख उपार्जिते हि वित्ते हि आशासानां गृह आशिषः मधुहा इव अग्रतः भुङ्क्ते यतिः वै गृहमेधीनाम्. ग्राम्य गीतम न शृणुयात् यति वनचरः क्वचित् शिक्षेत हरिणात बन्धान मृग योः गीतमोहितात् नृत्यवादित्र गीतानि जुषन् ग्राम्यानि योषिताम् आसां क्रीडनकः वश्य ऋष्यशृङ्गः मृगीसुतः जिह्वया जिह्वया अतिप्रमाथिन्या जनरस विमोहितः मृत्युं मृच्छति असद्बुद्धिः मीनः तु बड़ी शेहि यथा इंद्रियाणि जयन्ति आशु निराहारः मनीषिणः वर्जयित्वा तु रसनं तत् निरसन् अस्य वर्धते. तौ अजित इंद्रियः न स्यात् विजितानि इंद्रिय पुमान् न जयेत् रसनं यावत् जितं सर्वं जीते रसे. पिंगलाणां वेश्य आसीत् विदेहनगरे पुरा तस्याहं मे शिक्षितं किंचित् निबोध नृपनंदन. सा स्वैरिणी एकदा कांतं संकेत उपनेष्यति अभूतकाले बहिर्द्वारे बिभ्रति रूपम् उत्तमं मार्ग आगच्छ वीक्ष पुरुषान् पुरुष ऋषभ तान् शुल्कदान् वित्तवतः कान्तान् मेने अर्थ कामुकी आगतेषु उपायातेषु सा संकेत उपजीविनी अप्यन्यः अपि अन्यः वित्तवान् क अपि माम उपेष्यति भूरिदः एवं दुराशया ध्वस्त निद्रा द्वारी अवलंबति निर्गच्छन्ति प्रविशति निशीथं समपदयत्. तस्या वित्त आशया शुष्यत्वक्त्राया दीन चेतस निर्वेदः परमः जज्ञे चिंता हेतु सुख आवह Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A saintly person should not think this food I will skip to eat tonight and this other food I can save for tomorrow. In other words, a saintly person should not store foodstuffs acquired by begging. Rather, he should use his own hands as his plate and eat whatever fits on them. His only storage container should be his belly, and whatever conveniently fits into his belly should be his stock of food. Thus, one should not imitate the greedy honeybee who eagerly collects more and more honey. A saintly mendicant should not even collect foodstuff to eat later in the same day or the next day. If he disregards this injunction and, like the honeybee, collects more and more delicious foodstuffs, that which he has collected will indeed ruin him. A saintly person should never touch a young girl. In fact, he should not even let his foot touch a wooden doll in the shape of a woman. By bodily contact with the woman, he will surely be captured by illusion. Just as the elephant is captured by the she-elephant due to his desire to touch her body. A man possessing intelligent discrimination should not, under any circumstances, try to exploit the beautiful form of a woman for his sense gratification. Just as an elephant trying to enjoy she-elephant is killed by other bull elephants, also enjoying her company, one trying to enjoy a lady's company can at any moment be killed by her other lovers who are strong than he. A greedy person accumulates a large quantity of money with great struggle and pain. But the person who has struggled so much to acquire this wealth is not always allowed to enjoy it himself or give it in charity to others. The greedy man is like the bee, but like the bee who struggles to produce a large quantity of honey, which is then stolen by man who will enjoy it personally or sell it to others. No matter how carefully one hides his hard-earned wealth or tries to protect it, there are those who are expert in detecting the whereabouts of valuable thing, and they will steal it. Just as a hunter takes away the honey laboriously produced by the honeybees, similarly, saintly mendicants such as brahmacharis and sannyasis are entitled to enjoy the property painstakingly accumulated by household dedicated to family enjoyment. A saintly person dwelling in the forest in the renounced order of life should never listen to songs or music promoting material enjoyment. Rather, a saintly person should carefully study the example of the deer, who is bewildered by the sweet music of the hunter's horn and is thus captured and killed, becoming attracted to the worldly singing, dancing, and musical entertainment of beautiful women. Even the great sage Rishishrunga, the son of a deer, fell totally under their control, just like a pet animal. Just as a fish, incited by the desire to enjoy his tongue, in fatally trapped on the fisherman's hook. Similarly, a foolish person is bewildered by extremely disturbing urges of the tongue and thus is ruined. By fasting alone, men quickly bring all of the senses except the tongue under control, because by abstaining from eating, such men are afflicted with an increased desire to gratify the sense of taste. Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. However, if one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all the senses. O son of kings, previously in the city of Videha, there dwelt a prostitute named Pingala. Now, please hear up what I have learned from that lady. Once that prostitute, desiring to bring a lover into her house, stood outside in the doorway at night, showing her beautiful form. A best among men, this prostitute was very anxious to get money And as she stood on the street at night, she studied all the men who were passing by, thinking, oh, this one surely has money. I know he can pay the price, and I am sure he would enjoy my company very much. Thus, she thought about all the men on the street. As the prostitute Pingala stood in the doorway, many men came and went walking by her house. Her only means of sustenance was prostitution, and therefore she anxiously thought, maybe this one who is coming now is very rich. Oh, he is not stopping, but I am sure someone else will come. Surely this man who is coming now will want to pay me for my love, and he will probably give lots of money. Thus, with vain hope, she remained leaning against the door, unable to finish her business and go to sleep. Out of anxiety, she would sometimes walk out toward the street, and sometimes she went back into her house. In this way, the midnight hour gradually arrived. As the night wore on, the prostitute who intensely desired money gradually became morose, and her face dried up. Thus, being filled with anxiety for money and most disappointed, she began to feel a great detachment from her situation, and happiness arose in her mind. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There are two types of honeybees: those who collect nectar from the flowers and those who actually manufacture honey in the beehive. This verse refers to the second class. The greedy honeybee eventually collects so much honey that he is trapped in his hive, and in the same way, a materialistic person becomes trapped under the burden of necessary material accumulation. One who is interested in making spiritual progress should avoid such a situation. However, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur points out that for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness, one may accumulate an unlimited amount of material opulence. This is called Yukta Vairagya, or using everything in the service of Krishna. A saintly person who is unable to work in Lord Chaitanya's mission should practice austerities and collect only what he can hold in his hands and belly. However, one who has given his life to Krishna may collect unlimitedly on Lord Krishna's behalf. In fact, without acquiring material opulence, how is it possible to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world? But if one tries to personally enjoy the funds or facilities acquired for the missionary activities of the Krishna consciousness movement, he commits the greatest offense. Therefore, even in the name of Lord Krishna, one should collect only what he can immediately engage in practical devotional service. Otherwise, one will fall down to the platform of ordinary greediness. Brahmar refers to that honeybee who wanders about from flower to flower, and Makshika is the honeybee who accumulates more and more honey in the beehive with great attachment. A saintly mendicant should be like the Brahmara bee, because if he imitates the Makshika bee, his spiritual consciousness will be ruined. This point is so important that it is repeated in this verse. Elephant are captured in the jungle in the following way. A large hole is dug and then covered over with grass, leaves, mud, and so on. Then a she elephant is exhibited in front of the male elephant, who chases after her with lusty desire, falls into the hole, and is captured. The lesson to be learned from the elephant is that the desire to relish the touch sensation is certainly the cause of ruining one's life. An intelligent person noting the elephant's great propensity to sport with the she elephant will take this excellent example to heart. Therefore, somehow or other, one should avoid being excited by allurements to the sensuous form of woman. One should not allow one's mind to be lost in lusty dreams of sex pleasure. There are various types of sense gratification to be enjoyed between men and women, including speaking, contemplating, touching, sexual intercourse, etc. And all of these constitute the network of illusion by which one is helplessly bound like an animal. Somehow or other, one should remain aloof from sense gratification in the form of sex pleasure. Otherwise, there is no possibility of understanding the spiritual world. Just as one is enchanted by the beautiful form of a woman, many other men will also be enchanted, and there is danger that there will be stronger than oneself and may even jealously kill one. Crimes of passion are extremely common. This is another disadvantage of material life. One may argue that a wealthy man may conceal his money so expertly by investing it in banks, stocks, properties, and so on, that there is no danger of theft. Only foolish people actually hide money by burying it in the ground or placing it under a mattress. But despite the fact that the majority of the world's wealth has been accumulated in highly developed capitalistic countries, these countries are being severely challenged by many enemies who threaten at any moment to overrun the capitalists and steal their wealth. Similarly, we often find that the children of wealthy people are kidnapped and then their parents must pay huge ransoms. Sometimes the parents themselves may also be kidnapped. Furthermore, there are so-called investments counselors who are expert in stealing the money of rich people. And in the modern age, governments have also become expert in stealing money by taxation. Thus, the word earth with indicates one who, by hook or by crook, is expert in stealing the hard-earned wealth of other people. The bees work frantically to produce honey, but they will not enjoy their honey. As Lord Krishna states, Mrityu sarva hara cha aham. I will come as death personified and steal everything. Bhagavad Gita 10.34. Somehow or other, one's hard-earned material opulence will be stolen. And therefore, as mentioned in this verse, one should not work uselessly like the foolish honeybee. Next.
Already next, Mataji.
The scripture state, saintly medicants in the sannyasa order of life and brahmachari have first right to enjoy the sumptuous foodstuffs produced by the householder if the householders enjoy such foodstuffs without first offering them in charity to the mendicants. Such neglectful householders must undergo the lunar fast called Chandrayanam. In family life, one must overcome the natural tendency toward selfishness by giving abundant charity. Modern society foolishly does not observe such Vedic injunction, and as a result, the world has become overrun by envious group of medis or person wholly and solely dedicated to personal gratification in family life. Therefore, the whole world is seized in an uncontrollable space of violence and suffering. If one wants to live peacefully, one must follow the Vedic injunctions regulating family life. Although the householders work very hard to accumulate money, the saintly sannyasis and brahmacharis have the right to first enjoy the fruits of such labor. The conclusion is that one should give first priority to spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness and thus perfect one's life. Then, even without personal endeavor, one will be supplied all of one's necessities by the mercy of the personality of Godhead. If one becomes attached to the sense gratification of materialistic music and songs, one will develop all the features of material entanglement. One should hear Bhagavad Gita or the song sung by the Supreme Lord. Rishishrunga was intentionally brought up by his father in an atmosphere of complete innocence. The father thought that if his son were never exposed to the sight of women, he would always remain a perfect brahmachari. But by chance, the inhabitants of the neighboring kingdom who were suffering from a long-term drought received divine advice that rain would return to their kingdom only after the Brahmana named Rishishinga stepped foot in it. Therefore, they sent a beautiful woman to Rishishinga hermitage to entice him and bring him back with them. Since Rishishinga had never even heard about women, he easily fell for their trap. The name Rishishinga indicates that the young sage was born with a deer-like horn growing out of his forehead. If, like the deer, a rishi becomes attracted to sweet musical sounds, promising a sense gratification, then, like the deer, he is quickly vanquished. A thoughtful person should humbly take instructions from the deer, who is doomed by attraction to musical sense gratification. The fisherman places meaty bait on a sharp hook and easily attracts the unintelligent fish, who is greedy to enjoy its tongue. Similarly, people are mad after gratifying their tongues and lose all discrimination in their eating habits. For momentary gratification, they construct huge slaughterhouses and kill millions of innocent creatures. And by inflicting such atrocious suffering, they prepare a ghastly future for themselves. But even if one eats only the foods authorized in the Vedas, there is still danger. One may eat too sumptuous, and then the artificially stopped belly will create pressure on the sexual organ. Thus, one will fall down into the lower modes of nature and commit sinful activities that lead to the death of one's spiritual life. From the fish, one should carefully learn the real dangers involved in gratifying the tongue. In South America, there is a saying that when the belly is full, the heart is content. Thus, one who is eating sumptuously is jolly, and if one is deprived of proper food, one's appetite becomes even more voracious. An intelligent person, however, does not fall under the control of the tongue, but rather tries to make progress in Krishna consciousness by accepting the remnants of food offered to Lord Prasadam. One gradually purifies the heart and automatically becomes simple and austere. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur stated that the business of the tongue is to gratify itself with the varieties of flavor, but by wandering in the 12 holy forest of Rajamandal, Vrindavan, one can be freed from the 12 flavors of material sense gratification. The 5 principal division of material relationship are neutral admiration, servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. The 7 subordinate features of material relationships are material humor, astonishment, surely, compassion, anger, dread, and ghastliness. Originally, these 12 rasas are or flavors of relationships are exchanged between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity in the spiritual world. And by wandering in the 12 forests of Vrindavan, one can re-spiritualize the 12 flavors of personal existence. Thus, one will become a liberated soul, free from all material desires. If one artificially tries to give up sense gratification, especially that of the tongue, the attempt will be a failure. And in fact, one's desire for sense gratification will increase as a result of a artificial deprivation. Only the experiencing real spiritual pleasure in relationship with Krishna can one give up material desires. By eating, one gives energy and activity to all of the senses, and thus, if the tongue is uncontrolled, all of the senses will be dragged down to the material platform of existence. Therefore, by all means, one must control the tongue. If one fast, then all of the other senses become weak and lose their potency. The tongue, however, becomes more greedy to taste delicious preparations, and when one finally indulges the tongue, all of the senses quickly go out of control. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura advises that one accept Mahaprasadam or the remnants of the Lord's food in a moderate proportion. Since the tongue's function is also to vibrate, one should vibrate the glorious holy name of the Supreme Lord and taste the ecstasy of pure Krishna consciousness as stated in Bhagavad Gita. Rasavarjam raso api asya param drushva nivartate. Only by the higher taste of Krishna consciousness can one give up the deadly lower taste that keeps one imprisoned in material bondage. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur stated that as long as one's intelligence is materially covered, one cannot understand the pleasure of Krishna consciousness, trying to enjoy without Krishna. The living entity leaves the abode of the Supreme Lord called Vrajabhumi and comes down into the material world, where he quickly loses control of his senses. One becomes particularly victimized by the tongue, belly, and genitals, which exerts intolerable pressure on the conditioned soul. These desires subside, however, when one re-establishes one's blissful relationship with the Lord, who is actually the reservoir of all pleasure. One who is attached to the taste of Krishna, consciousness automatically follows all of the rules and regulations of religious life due to spontaneous attraction to Vasudha, Vishuddha Tattva, Vishuddha Sattva, or the mode of pure goodness. Without such spontaneous attraction, one is certainly bewildered by the pushing of material senses. Even the beginning stage of devotional service called sadhana bhakti, regular, regulatory practice is so powerful that it brings one to the platform of anartha nivritti, where one becomes free from unwanted sinful habits and gains relief from the pressure of the tongue, belly, and genitals. Thus, one is delivered from the bondage of material addiction and can no longer be cheated by the allurements of the material energy. As it is said, all that glitters is not gold. In this regard, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur recommends that we consider the following song written by his father, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. शरीर विद्या जाय जडेन्द्रिय ताहे काल जीव पेले विशेष सागरे तार मध्य जीव अति लोभोमय सुदुर्मति ताके जेठा कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बड़ा दयामय करी बारे जीव जाय स्वप्रसादम दिलोबाय सेन अमृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे डाको चैतन्य निमाय. O Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance and the senses are a network of path to death. Somehow we have fallen into this ocean of material sense enjoyment, and of all the senses, the tongue is most ferocious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world, but you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us and have given us such nice prasadam just to control the tongue. Now we take this prasadam to our full satisfaction and glorify their Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, and in love call for the help of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. It appears from these verses that all this particular night, the prostitute Pingla was not at all successful in attracting customers to her house. being completely frustrated and disappointed, she gradually became indifferent to her situation. Thus, great suffering sometimes leads one to the path of enlightenment, or according to a Sanskrit proverb, disappointment gives rise to the greatest satisfaction. The prostitute had dedicated her life to satisfying the lusty desire of men, engaging her mind, body, and words in the service of paying lovers. She completely forgot the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus her mind was most unsteady and disturbed. Finally, being completely frustrated, her face and throat drying up, she began to feel indifferent to her situation, and happiness arose in her mind. Thus, end the purpose. Now, praise. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्दे अहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशून्यवादी पाश्चात देश तारिणे वंचा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा दंडवत प्रणाम we continuing Srimad Bhagwatam, Canto 11, Chapter 8, the story of Pingla. In this shlokas, we only one important point we can remember always, that we surrender to the Krishna and we don't attach to any other things, which because of that we fall down in our sadhana. Time is less, so I stop here, and Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Vancha kalpatarubhecha.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much for the wonderful, clear reading and the shlokas that you have been reading. So we have started this chapter, and here the very first thing which comes out, which we learn, is how we need to keep on learning from everyone. Now, this basically is a story which is being told by Krishna to Uddhava, how Avadhuta Brahman explained to Maharaj Yadu the instructions he had received from his Navguru, that is, 9 gurus, starting with Python. So we have covered most of those yesterday. And then, once these instructions have been given, then we get the example of Pinga. Now, here, after yesterday, we are seeing how the instruction of the moth is that if we get enticed by fire, then we have to give up life. So, a fool who cannot control his senses becomes enchanted by various forms of women. And chasing after these embodiments he loses his life untimely and falls into the Andatamaha, the most horrible hell. And then come the learnings from the bees, a bumblebee and a honeybee. A bumblebee, it makes us understand that we should collect small amounts of food from multiple locations. And thus, we maintain Madhukari for maintaining our existence. So, this is the most ideal way. And even in this material world nowadays, we find that people at times are disturbed. Just one job is not able to help them sustain the kind of inflation which we are witnessing. And so they also work multiple locations, small time. Or look at the housemaid. She's not having a full-time job. But then in a society, she works in 18 different flats. That is how the existence can be maintained. We should also collect essential truths from all scriptures without seeing whether they are great or insignificant. And then honeybee. Honeybee makes us understand that we should not keep on saving. Because even if we keep on saving, then just like the honeybee, whose savings of the honey get carried away by the hive keeper. So similarly, any person, if he keeps on saving things, just like a greedy enemy, he'll be destroyed along with his savings. And that is what we learned even when we learned Ishopanishad, wherein it is clearly mentioned that we should not take more than what is our share. That was a very clear instruction in Ishopanishad shloka. So we need to follow those shlokas, where it is clearly told to us, the very first shloka, that we should take only what is our allocated share. Tena tyaktena bhunjita magridah kasyasvid dhanam. So that is what we need to follow. The elephant. Now here we know that generally the males get captivated by females. So what the hunters do is they have a female elephant which is moving, and the male elephant gets tricked and he falls into the ditch and is captured. So similarly, if we are becoming attached to the other sex, we'll fall into the deep well of material life and be destroyed. Now, honey thief steals the honey collected with great effort. Similarly, if you are not earning, if you're practicing the varnashram, then a sannyasi is not supposed to maintain anything. He's not supposed to earn anything. So he's the rightful guaranteed assurance to take anything from the householders, the grihasthas. And when it comes to the deer, they get confused by hearing the hunter's flute. So similarly, if we get attracted to mundane music, then we are wasting our life. And just look at the kind of influence that has been having in Kali Yuga. So many music channels, YouTubes, apps, and everything only mundane, chartbusters. But the moment they get to know the real truth, the life changes. You all need to know the Beatles. They're the biggest brand of rock music. But when they met Srila Prabhupada and they understood the purpose of life, They have devised our perfect tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And it goes on. So music for the pleasure of Krishna, service of Krishna is good. Anything else is wastage of life. And the fish teaches us not to get attached to the sense of taste. Because if the fish were not running after taste, after food, then they would never get attached to the fish hook. So we need to control this plant. And if we don't control it, then we are doomed to be destroyed. So controlling tongue is very, very important. But it is not so easy. But it is possible. How? By taking only prasadam. शरीरा विद्या जाल जड़ेंद्रियता है काल जीवे फैले विषय सागरे तार मध्ये जीवाती लोभमय सुदुर्मती ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बड़ा दयामय करी भार जीव जय स्वप्रसाद अन्न दिलाबाय से ही अन्नामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमे डाको श्री Chaitanya Nitai. So the moment we take only prasadam, the tongue will come into control and all our problems will get resolved. So let us start doing it. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaya vacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namah.